Hello students, this is Adarsh and let's study about irrigation, that is a part of the first chapter of your biology. Now, the process of supplying the water to the crop plants in regular interval of time is called as irrigation, and water is key input for crop production. Now, the process of supplying water to crop plants by means of canals, reservoirs, etc. is known as irrigation. And irrigation is necessary for the survival and proper development of the crop plants. Thus, in agriculture, irrigation fulfills the following goals. First, crop plants are irrigated by fresh water to supply two essential elements to them, that is hydrogen and oxygen. Second, irrigation provides sufficient moisture for the germination of the seed. This is because seeds do not germinate in dry soil, and irrigation is necessary to increase the number of aerial branches called tillers in crop plants so as to get good crop yield. Now, different kinds of irrigation system are used to supply water to agricultural field. They are wells, canals, rivers, tanks, check dams and etc. Now, the first is wells. Now, there are two kinds of wells called dug wells and tube wells. In dug wells, water is collected from water bearing strata, whereas in tube wells, water is collected from deeper strata. Now, next is canals. In this system, canals receive water from reservoirs or rivers and then it is distributed to the fields. The next, river lift systems. In this system, water is lifted from rivers to irrigate fields that are close to the river. Then next come tanks. These are small storage reservoirs which supply water to the fields. Next is check dams. They are used to stop rainwater from flowing away and helps to increase groundwater levels and reduce soil erosion. Next is sprinkler system. It is mostly used in canal irrigated areas of Haryana, Madhya Pradesh and Rajasthan. In this system, water is sprinkled throughout the radius of the sprinkler. A sprinkler is a horizontal pipe rising from its pipeline with a nozzle fitted at the top of it, which rotates, sprinkling the water in the area evenly. Now, the next topic is cropping pattern. Now, these are the model of raising crops which helps in obtaining maximum benefit from the same piece of land, and it reduces risk of crop failure, disease and infestation. Now, three common types of cropping pattern are mixed cropping, intercropping and crop rotation. Now, let's study about mixed cropping. Now, farming is an agricultural process of harvesting solar energy in the form of economic produce to plant and animals. The Indian farmers depend a great deal on the monsoon for water, and monsoon sometimes brings flood and sometimes cause drought. Therefore, the small and marginal farmers, particularly in rain-fed regions, can't take risk of growing a specialized crop or only one crop. So they prepared a farming system called mixed farming, which is practice of growing two or more crops simultaneously on the same piece of land. Now, what are the advantages of mixed cropping? The risk of total crop failure due to uncertain monsoon is reduced. Next, fertility of the soil is improved by growing two crops simultaneously. Next, farmer tends to harvest variety of crops such as cereal, pulses or vegetables, and chances of pest infestation are greatly reduced. Now, what are the objectives of mixed cropping? The basic objective of mixed farming is to minimize the risk and ensure against the crop failure due to abnormal weather conditions. Now, crop combinations used in mixed cropping are, that is, maize with urad bean, wheat with mustard, barley with chickpea, cotton with moong, that is green gram, and wheat with chickpea. So these are the combinations that are used in mixed cropping. Now next comes intercropping. Now intercropping is a practice of growing two or more crops simultaneously in a same piece of field in a definite row pattern. The practice of intercropping is adopted by small farmers and where farmers have less access to irrigation. Intercropping is an improved version of mixed cropping. All the crop combinations in mixed cropping can also be practiced in the intercropping, but row patterns are definite, that is 1:1, 1:2 or 1:3. It means after one row main crop, 1, 2 or 3 rows of intercrops can be grown. Now what are its advantages? It makes better use of the natural resources of sunlight, air and water. Soil erosion is effectively arrested. Next, the produce of each crop can be marketed and produced separately, and since the seeds of two crops are not mixed before sowing, fertilizers can be placed as per the need of the crop. Now what is the objective of intercropping? The objective of this farming is to increase productivity per unit area, and the crop combinations used in intercropping are same as the mixed cropping. Now let's try to see a quick comparison between mixed cropping and intercropping. Now mixed cropping aims to minimize risk of crop failure, whereas intercropping aims to increase productivity per unit area. In mixed cropping, seeds of two crops are mixed before sowing, whereas in intercropping, seeds of two crops are not mixed. In mixed cropping, it involves no set pattern of row of crops, whereas in intercropping, it involves set pattern of rows of crops. In mixed cropping, there is difficulty of fertilizer application to individual crop, whereas in intercropping, fertilizers can be placed as per need of the crops. In mixed cropping, spraying for pest control to individual crop is difficult, whereas in intercropping, pesticides can easily be applied to individual crop. In mixed cropping, harvesting and threshing of crop separately is not possible, whereas in intercropping, both crops can be easily harvested and threshed separately. In mixed cropping, marketing and consumption of only mixed produce is possible, whereas in intercropping, products of each crop can be marketed and consumed separately. Now next comes crop rotation. Now crop rotation can be defined as the practice of growing of different crop on a piece of land in a pre-planned succession, that is, growing leguminous crops after growing cereal crops helps to increase soil fertility. If crop rotation is done properly, 2 or 3 crops can be grown in a year profitably. Now, depending upon the duration of the time, crop rotation can be of following 3 types. First is 1-year rotation, second is 2-year rotation, and third is 3-year rotation. And the examples of them you can see on the screen. Then selection of crops for rotation. Now most commonly legumes or leguminous plants are included in crop rotation program as they increase the soil fertility. But following points should be considered. First, availability of moisture through rain or irrigation. Next, status of nutrient in soil. Next, duration of crop, that is long or short. Next, marketing and processing facilities. And last, availability of input such as labor, fertilizers, pesticides, machine power, and etc. Now let's study about advantages of crop rotation. First, by alternation between deep and shallow rooted crops, the soil may be utilized more completely. Second, several crops can be grown in a succession with only one soil preparation. Third, crop rotation reduces the need of the fertilizers. And last, it also controls pests and weeds. Now, the best example is Norfolk rotation. Now, this is one of the best known crop rotation. It involves the growing of 4 crops over a period of 4 years. These crops are wheat, that is cereal, clover or bean, that is legume, barley, that is another cereal, and terpene or sugar cane, a root crop.